Odell Beckham Jr. How do you see this whole thing playing out in Cleveland between his dad posting something on YouTube the other day, LeBron James tweeting about it, saying free OBJ? How do you see it all playing out?
Yeah, they didn't trade him, so if they release him now and he goes unclaimed, they're going to be responsible for paying him all that money that they owe him, and he'll be dead on the cap. So for them, it's best to just keep him, right? Try to make it work. My issue isn't necessarily with OBJ and or Baker. It's the system that they run. It's not built to have a premier number one wide receiver, and that's exactly what Odell Beckham Jr. is. He's a guy that you just say, hey, forget the play. I'm going to try to throw it to this guy every single time, and I just don't think their system is set up that way. It's based through the run. Baker's trying to do everything that the coaches are telling him to do, and right now it just seems like OBJ is not a priority. Despite the amount of empty targets, or people will talk about how many targets he has and this and whatnot, but if they're not primary targets, as in we're going to try to get you the ball 3 or 4 times in the first 15 plays, then he's really not being the player that they're paying him to be.
Can you explain something to me as a quarterback, though? So why does it feel like Jarvis Landry is that target?
Yeah, Jarvis Landry is like a security blanket in that offense, the way that they play, and Jarvis is, he's a possession guy. He's gonna move the chains, the chain mover type of guy. If you look at his catches and yards over the course of his career, he's never been just a game-breaking wide receiver that's averaging 17, 18 yards a catch. But that has been OBJ, and I think in that offensive system, I've been in that offensive system the majority of my career when I was playing, and it's just not built that way. You go to your progressions 1, 2, 3, and if you get it to the guy, you get it to the guy because that's where the defense is telling you to throw it. But you got to look at OBJ like a Megatron type of guy, AJ Green, Julio, these guys that are just game breakers, and he was that with the Giants, but they're just not using him that way in Cleveland.
Robert Griffin III, ESPN football analyst, on with Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max, ESPN Radio. RG3, how concerned are you about Dak Prescott's injury moving forward?
To be honest with you, I'm not that concerned with Dak's injury. It's one of those things of if he can go out there and protect himself, that he should be able to play. But, all the players will tell you during the season when you get an injury, there's this thing we call the new 100. And if you can get back to that new 100, you're never really going to quite not feel anything. You're never going to really quite feel perfect like you did pre-injury.
When you look at the NFC right now, Robert Griffin, you got the Packers, you got the Saints, you got the Cardinals, the Rams, obviously the Cowboys, the Buccaneers are all kind of swirling around in the ocean together. Who's the best team in the NFC?
Yeah, you look at these NFC teams and they're all beating each other up. One loss here or there. You got the Cardinals, the Rams, the Packers, but the team to beat to me is the Cowboys. With Dak, they got a two-headed monster running back with Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard, and then obviously you got CeeDee Lamb and Coop at wide receiver. I just feel like they're doing a nice job, and their defense is much improved. That everybody came into the season wondering what was going to happen. Trevin Diggs out there catching interceptions every chance he gets, and their defense has been pretty optimistic. So I think they're the class of the NFC right now, and this is a guy that I played against the Cowboys when I was in the league. So I'm not showing any bias, just calling it like I see it. But the rest of the teams, if Dak is not available for the Cowboys, then I believe it's the Rams. You got Matthew Stafford out there slinging it, Cooper Kupp killing it, and now you got Aaron Donald and Von Miller together. I mean, that's just a nightmare for quarterbacks. It's going to be an interesting battle throughout the rest of the season.
Real quick before we let you go, RG3, who is the NFL MVP right now?
NFL MVP right now, Matthew Stafford. Close second for me, Cooper Kupp. I know they're on the same team, and I know that everybody says that other positions can't really win the MVP. It's always a quarterback award, but I think it's time for that award not to just be a quarterback award. Cooper Kupp's leading the league in touchdowns and receiving yards, and he's second in receptions. But right now, with the way his quarterback's playing, I can't put him quite over Matthew Stafford. He's about there balling out, and really you can see that relationship between him and Sean McVay taking off. It's just a matter of them being able to, maintain that throughout the rest of the season. And I wish they could have made it work with D-Jack, a former teammate of mine. He's a dynamic player, but apparently it didn't work out there. So hopefully D-Jack gets back on his feet. But the Rams are the class if it's not the Cowboys.
Well, interesting answer, Cooper Kupp, but also about time someone gives Matt Stafford some love in the MVP talk.
No, it's fine. He switched. RG switched it up.